Welcome back. Tonight, Indianola Police Sergeant Greg Capers talks. He's the man at the center of the controversy over the shooting of an 11-year-old Aderrien Murray in Indianola. A judge has sealed the release of body camera footage showing what happened that night in May when Aderrien was shot. Meantime, as we've reported, a Sunflower County grand jury has refused to indict Officer Capers after a state investigation shows he committed no crime. So with all that moving in the case over the last week, Capers and his attorney sat down exclusively with ABC News reporter DeMarco Morgan for an interview seen first today on WABG and the GMA3 broadcast.
It was a situation that I didn't expect to be in. Just had no idea that it would turn out that way.
It was in the wee hours of May 20th in Indianola, Mississippi, when Aderrien's mother, Nakayla Murray, says her ex-boyfriend and father to one of her children knocked on her window and demanded to be let inside. 11-year-old Aderrien says he was awakened by the commotion and told by his mom to call his grandmother and 911. But according to Nakayla, when two officers arrived, they knocked on the door, then tried kicking it down before Nakayla let them in. Once inside, Nakayla says she told the officers no one was armed. She says they told everyone to come out with their hands up. That's when 11-year-old Aderrien, following the officers' commands, says he came out of his bedroom with nothing in his hands and was shot in the chest.
For those who say having a badge comes with a ton of responsibility and they believe you acted poorly that day.
Unless they're in our shoes, you just never know what you may run into. Spur of the moment. It's a split decision that has to be made.
Have you thought about that little boy since that day?
All the time. All the time.
The aftermath of that decision was tragic. Aderrien suffered multiple injuries, including a collapsed lung and a lacerated liver. I talked to Aderrien less than 2 weeks after the incident.
I came out doing this, so I ran across the corner, and then I just got shot. And then I ran to my mom, and then so I was bleeding from my mouth. Then my mama, she was applying pressure to my chest.
Aderrien said he came out, raised his hands. He recognized you. Did you know this little boy leading up to this situation, or had you ever met him?
I met him before. There's two sides to every coin, two sides to every situation, and of course they're saying that, but I can tell you that's just not the way it happened.
No justice, no peace.
Officer Capers was suspended without pay and remains under administrative non-paid leave. And just days ago, a Mississippi grand jury determined he won't face any criminal charges. Aderrien's mom says she's fighting to prevent Sergeant Capers from returning to active duty. I asked him several times to describe what he believes happened the day of the shooting, but he declined to answer on advice from his attorney, citing pending lawsuits.
So you think you did nothing wrong?
I hate it that it happened. Definitely wasn't intentional. I hate that it happened. I've shed many tears, done everything I can to get this situation off of me.
Aderrien's mom has filed a $5 million federal lawsuit against Capers and the city of Indianola for her son's injuries and for what she says was a failing to properly train Capers.
Can you talk about your training?
Real good training, same training as law enforcement in California, Georgia, wherever. It's certified training. I'm a certified law enforcement officer. I took pride in what I did. I was good at what I did. I'm a public servant at heart. I always will be, regardless of how this turned out with Indianola Police Department.
Murray family attorney Carlos Moore says Sergeant Capers' actions were a clear use of excessive force.
But you do understand the outrage
Absolutely.
that comes with this situation, this
Absolutely.
incident.
I'm not blaming anyone for the way that they feel. I have no issue with that. Because if it was me in that predicament, I'd probably feel the same way. But I would hope that if it was to happen to me, God forbid, I would let the process take place instead of just jumping ship or passing judgment before, it should be rendered.
When we spoke in May, Aderrien told me that up until this incident, he wanted to be a cop.
You wanted to be a cop?
Yes.
You still want to be a police officer?
No.
Why?
Because I got shot. I do want to be a doctor now.
When I talked to him, he said he wanted to be a police officer before this incident. He changed his mind after that day. Your thoughts, your words to him.
I hate that that's his mindset right now. I can't say that I blame him, but nevertheless, even though he's such a young child, Who knows what the future may hold? It may change his mind. Maybe once this all ends, totally ends, maybe he'll see law enforcement in a different light.
The Aderrien Murray case has been a roller coaster ride for the families, the media, and as well as the community. We may be finally about to get some answers this week as officials with the city of Indianola will meet later this week to discuss their next move. Delta News reporter Tony Fruit spoke with the mayor about what's happening.
After attorney Carlos Moore last week held a press conference about how to keep Sergeant Greg Capers out of law enforcement and off the job in Indianola, he also filed a motion to have the body cam footage released. Since then, a judge has ordered that the body cam footage be out of view, and the ruling has been objected to by Moore.
We will abide by that court order, but the city of Indianola has no restriction. They can release it to whoever they want to release it to. There's no prohibition. City of Indianola, what are you hiding?
But Indianola Mayor Ken Featherstone says the city has no such video to release. Featherstone does say that the Indianola Board of Aldermen will meet Thursday night to discuss the latest developments in the case. The mayor tells us that will likely include a discussion over whether to put Sergeant Capers back on the job. He says most of the discussion will likely take place in executive session and out of public view because it's a personnel matter. Meantime, the Murray family insists they will continue to stand in the way.
I feel like if they choose to let him come back, then they need to release the footage so that the citizens of Indianola would be able to see what type of person that Indianola has chosen to serve and protect them.
Murray and attorney Moore insist they will keep up the pressure to keep Capers off the force.
Find a new career. You almost killed my client.
In Greenville, Tony Fruits, the Delta News.